Welcome to Never End the Story, a rewatch podcast where we watch the movies of our childhood along with Tepper, a grown man who has never seen them before. I'm your host, Ivan.
I'm Chris. I'm just a Steeltown girl on a Saturday night looking for the fight of my life.
I'm Connor, and today I'm a gay skeleton.
And, I'm Tepper. And, I don't know what I am right now.
Alright. We will be watching Warriors of Virtue, directed by Ronnie Yu, released in 1977. A movie with only a single piece of trivia listed on IMDb. Chris brought this movie to us. Why?
So, this was... It's hard to say what my favorite movie was when I was a kid. But this is definitely in the, top three of them. We watched a lot of movies. That was pretty much every night. My dad had worked out this deal with the local video store owner where he gave them they exchanged veterinary work for free movie rentals, and they had very sickly animals. So we got my entire lifetime worth of free movie rentals at that place, and this was one that I just every time I went in, I wanted to watch Warriors of Virtue for a very long time, probably 9 to 12 or so. But yeah, this was a very big movie to me. I remember a lot of it, but there's also a lot I don't remember about it, and I haven't seen it until in at least 15 years.
All right. Does anyone else have a personal connection to this film?
I'm at least 76% certain I have never seen this, but we're gonna find out.
Yeah, I had never heard of this movie when Chris originally suggested it. I'm still pretty sure I haven't heard of this movie. And after the movie, I'll be uncertain if I've heard of it.
Yeah, I know nothing about this movie.
Yeah, I think this might be... I said before we started recording that I would not be surprised if one of you turned out to have seen it. By the time we get to the end of it, you remember. But I think this might be the first one that only one person has seen.
Yeah, and I'm sure that'll be a case in the future, but this is definitely our first. All right. So, we are now showing Tepper the poster for the movie. Tepper, what do you think this movie is about? This is also the first time I'm actually looking at it.
What is this movie about?
So, the tagline for the movie is... In a world beyond your wildest imagination, a battle for the universe has begun.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, describe it for us, Tepper, if you could.
It's a void, or there's this swirl of crazy colors, and behind it is a face of someone, and their eyes are very vividly showing, and then at the bottom there is looks like medieval warriors, and it's kind of a crazy looking poster. Real lack of detail. Kind of reminds me of the Never Ending Story poster, in that not really much is revealed about the movie. The characters aren't really in focus. You don't get a good look at any of them, and you don't really have an idea of who the main character is.
I like to assume that swirl is burrowing into that person's face.
Or just part of it.
They opened up their mouth and then just...
Oh, they're sucking in all those medieval warriors.
Yeah.
I mean, this poster reminds me more of the Jumanji poster. It's basically the same poster.
Yeah, you could I find the subject matter on the poster itself is kind of closer to Never Ending Story, but just the tagline and simple details is pretty close to the Jumanji poster. I agree. In terms of what happens, I think Chris, when you were given the description of it, it's I remember the description just being wild. I can't remember what you said was, but it was just kind of what the fuck. So, I mean, it's going to be a battle for the universe. And what year was this movie made in?
It was released in 1997.
Oof, nice. Okay, it's that era of fantasy. Hell yeah. Yeah, I got a good feeling about this one.
What is the red above warriors? Is that supposed to be like a person doing martial arts, or is it like mountains? I don't know what
I
that...
mean,
I think I know what it
I
is.
would give something away if I said, but it is a stylized sort of picture of an animal.
Oh, an animal.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I think I know what it's supposed to be, and I do not see it.
I see it.
But alright.
Who's the main character?
The left eye.
Well, we've got left eye, we've got right eye. We have short. That looks like, is that like a rapier? That looks like a rapier guy. And then there's guy wielding like a scimitar-ish style blade.
And there's all the guys on the bottom.
Yeah. Who's the main character? Yeah, I don't know. It's just like that's where like goes back to like the never ending story poster. Who knows? After what happened with that movie, I can't really predict main characters off posters anymore. I just can't trust them. Like,
I'm really curious what kind of business data we might get out of this movie.
yeah, you know who I will predict. I think like I'm gonna go on the side of scimitar guy because he's not wielding a rapier two handed. So yeah, I'm gonna go with scimitar guy.
Very critical of the sword technique off the bat.
Well, he's gonna lose that fight. He's got a shorter sword, thinner. He's not wielding it properly.
Well, you don't know yet. He might have virtue on his side.
In fact, he might be a warrior of virtue.
He might have some other friends that are very virtuous, making them warriors.
Alright. See you after the movie.
Can I survive when I have destroyed the last life spring in Tao?
No.
No. And do you expect me to stay in a world where I cannot survive?
And we're back. So, what did everyone think?
That was incredible.
I picked the right main character.
Oh.
I mean, of the ones on the poster, yes.
Ryan is on the poster.
I assume he's the eyes?
Yeah, Ryan is the boy who has a disability, which is peer pressure. And then he goes to a magical world and helps kangaroos fight a fashion man. And he is definitely on the poster.
He watches kangaroos fight a fashion man.
He helps. He read the book.
So, like, I don't know if you guys are doing this on purpose or it's just coincidence, but goddamn, have the last couple of movies been like the same in terms of like that, in terms of that structure. Like, it's like we're just seeing variations of bullies, business moms, business dads.
Hey now, there's no such thing as a business mom. This was a lady business dad. Get it right.
But that's what I was going to transition into is this movie is so 90s. Like,
oh yeah.
Like extra 90s.
One thing I want to point out is that in the cast list, Angus McFadden is first, and he's the one that plays Komodo.
Yes, accurate. That is because he's the main character.
Yes.
Oh, this is you're saying this is an Othello situation.
Ryan is second.
But yeah, like this movie is just like the slang, like even more so than the other movies we've watched. Like just so aggressively 90s. Yeah. Like everything.
The multiple earrings on one ear of the bully Brad.
Yeah, the bully, the bikes, football being so important. Like there's just like all these things where it's like, oh my god.
Football and kung fu and comics about kung fu and cooking.
Yeah. There's like,
because all of those things require a working leg.
Oh man, the way Ming cooks, yes, you do need a working leg.
So sorry, just like, so just to get my impression on the movie overall. if I was to critically break down this movie, probably the technical aspects of the movie, like, and if you would like comb over the story structure and like stuff like that, it's probably trash.
Oh yeah, there's lots of stuff that just doesn't make sense.
But like, goddamn, if it didn't have like it was fun. Whenever Komodo is it Komodo? Komodo is on screen.
Komodo.
Yeah, that dude carried the movie.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like without him, this movie would just be like so much worse than it already is.
His minions were pretty good too when they used them right.
Yeah,
He was my favorite character, though, by far.
His minions were weirdly toddlerish for no explained reason. Like, they were just very... Or maybe, like, they had the intelligence of, like, dogs. Like, it was...
yeah. I was thinking about like we'll go into that some more because I have a theory about that in the context of the movie.
General
but,
Grillo was smart.
yeah,
Yes, he is the only one.
but like this movie is just like whenever I thought he couldn't get better, he managed to just do something where I'm like, God damn, you did it.
Yeah. No, it was so good.
Angus McFadden knew what kind of movie he was in. Like, he knew, like, oh, it's chew up the scenery time. All right. I'm on board. Dennis Dunn, who's Ming, the kung fu chef, he also knew what kind of movie he was in. Like, he really sold his part too, and like was very good and entertaining.
Though a surprisingly short cameo, almost.
Yeah. Okay. So I posted the quote. So after the movie ended, I quickly looked up its Wikipedia page. And in the reception section is the quote that I posted in our chat, which is, whereas A Virtue received overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics, film critic Cale Klein of the Carlsbad Current Argus was so physically distressed by the film that he actually vomited during the initial screenings.
So, like, I wondered when we were going to talk about this thing, because it's like the only fact about this movie that you can find. It that just strikes me as something a dumb critic would say,
Yeah.
and not a thing that actually happened.
No.
Like,
the much more relevant thing to this is what Siskel said, which is generic junk made for an international action market, a cheap hybrid of Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, and Captain Planet. I think...
But it was expressly not those things, because there's no morphing or lasers. Ming told us so.
and then they got dangerously close to morphing and lasers at the very end. Well, he was like, "Oh, I read the book. You know that secret laser power you have? Use that. Oh, now we should."
Yeah, so it has an 18% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually much worse than the sequel, which I'm surprised about.
Which was also what I was going to mention, is that I didn't know if you guys knew, but yeah, there's a direct-to-DVD sequel made in 2002.
Yeesh, there sure is.
That's exciting.
I have never seen that. So I had the toys for this. Like, not all of them, but an awful lot of them. Yeah, they might still be in my parents' house even. Like Mosley, who's like the Rhino Man, I had him for sure.
They made toys for this movie.
Oh, hell yes.
I've seen those toys before.
Okay, I definitely agree with you, Chris. What you were saying is that they expected to make a lot more of these movies.
Yes.
They should have.
They should have made Komodo the like spin-off.
Yeah, can I just have Komodo's Daily Life as a movie?
He's just like yelling at everyone all the time. I liked him as a villain.
Oh no, he is one of the best villains I've ever seen.
Like he's just so good. Elaborate, like, execution trap, fashion, his bed. Like, his bed, his chair, his makeup.
Him making sure he looked good in purple.
We were saying the lipstick's only on the upper lip?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. His fake makeout with if it was a more modern movie, probably every single one of his people.
The weird woman minion, his two
Barbarocious?
Is that her name?
That is her name.
God.
I was gonna call her Knife Fingers.
That is her
Or
function.
Spider Lady.
Spider Lady.
Yeah, this movie is just so. Oh man. Okay, but maybe let's start from the beginning. So.
Oh, you want to go through it? Okay.
Yeah, let's chronologically go through this and break this shit down.
This movie deserves it.
So the movie opens up with the shot of the beads breaking, then it goes to the modern day, and he's reading comic books and like kung fu comic
And
books.
he's loving it.
He's looking at kung fu comic books that have no words.
Yes,
And the dog has to feed him.
Yeah. I believe you're talking about Dog Nanny.
yeah. The dog was like smart enough to grab a piece of toast, find the kid, drop it, and then like leave.
The lady business dad later says to the dog, "Make sure Ryan eats his dinner." Like these are tasks that she gives the dog.
And every little boy wants a piece of toast covered in dog drool.
Yeah. So he reads that. But then, then the most bizarre part of the movie.
Yeah.
Or the best.
Hard cut to kung fu culinary.
Does it become relevant for like almost anywhere else the rest of the movie? It has no real plot. Like, this scene.
I want that to be an anime.
Their relationship's not really explained.
Yeah,
it's later mentioned that his mom pays for him to go there for food.
Something like that.
It's
Yeah.
weird. It's like he's a latchkey kid, and this is the restaurant that he goes where, like, you know, because she's a business lady. So,
Let's getting back to it. So like, chef, does
Ming.
Ming does crazy kung fu moves.
he's Wang Chi from Big Trouble in Little China. He's awesome.
So does all these kung fu moves to make food, throws food across the room for the kid to catch on his plate. Like we were talking about, like, he better hope the health inspector never comes in when he's doing that shit.
What? What is unhealthy about that?
Well, and also just like kicking above a lit stove.
He had to turn the faucet on to cool down the pan. That's what he was doing with that
Yes,
kick,
it
by the
is.
way.
Yeah. And also cleaning his towel.
I could just imagine them hiring like a new cook, and the guy just comes and is like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Well, the restaurant is called Ming's, though, so it's never
Yeah.
clear if
Yeah,
he...
yeah.
Oh, he does live above it.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that he owns it, right? Like that's kind of what we assumed.
So why do people yell at him?
He's
Does
into it.
anybody actually yell at him? Yeah, actually, the kid yells at, but not at Ming.
No, in the first scene where we see him, he's
Right,
like
yeah,
up
yeah.
there giving sage advice to Ryan.
Yeah, and
The
then-
child, and then another person comes in and yells at him.
Yeah,
No, it doesn't yell at him. He's telling. I think he's telling everyone that like lunch rush is starting. Get working.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
There are points where that restaurant has 1 million people working in it.
Yeah, that kitchen is loaded with people.
And like, there's no space for them to like. They can't access half the kitchen because he's doing flips.
Also, it was like standing room only, so I don't know where he gets the room to do flips.
Yeah. But then we're told about the ancient Chinese secret of not watching Power Rangers.
Yeah, and the elements, which doesn't include, I believe, air. Or was it? Yeah, it was air.
Correct.
It's not included.
Yes.
Air is
Yeah.
replaced with wood and metal.
Yeah, it is earth, fire, metal, wood, and water, the classic
Yeah.
elements.
It's the 5 traditional elements, more or less. It's because Air's hard to show visually.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a budgetary thing.
Just leaves.
So then we find ourselves in the football game,
Yeah.
to which he's a water boy.
Because he has a he has a disabled leg, on which he wears a brace.
So the football thing was actually one of the more coherent things in the movie.
The whole movie was coherent. I don't know what you're talking about.
In terms of a like, it's something that is called back to multiple times and is like a running thing through the movie. The one thing with the football game though, it was like, I can't remember who mentioned it, but they act like it's the climax of the movie. Like the way that whole scene is shot, it's like they just won like the finals.
Well, that's because the bullies won their movie.
Yeah.
Their movie's over. I don't feel that it was entirely a coherent scene, because like what he starts cheering and then everyone starts cheering and then he immediately loses focus on what's going on around him.
And sad music.
And there's two vague shots of him maybe looking at a girl, one of which she gets covered up by a poster.
Yeah, sorry, let me rephrase that. Not that the scene was coherent, but that like the emotion of the scene of like his connection to football.
Yeah,
that was a coherent thing running through the movie that was constantly called back to. The actual scene itself was like I was saying, like it was kind of weird. Like you actually described it in the best way I think possible. Is that the bullies just had the climax of their movie, but he like looks at these like random girls and they're never actually like, I don't think they're actually named, and it's not super focused like the scene, and there's just a bunch of stuff that like never pays off or is never expanded upon.
In this scene, it's just that he gets an idea for a play that that the bully needs to do, and the coach is like, "Shut up, shut up, water boy."
Yeah. No, the coach never interacts with Ryan.
Oh no, the coach tells Brad to shut up.
Yeah, the coach tells them to do a play. Brad's like, no, that's not a very good idea. And then Ryan gives him a good play. Never once interacting with the coach. And the coach is very surprised about what Brad's doing.
Yeah, so like actually think about that scene some more. I think like the idea behind the whole scene is good, but the way it's shot, I think, betrays itself.
Because you think it's confusing that there's like a climb. I think they're just trying to reference sports movies.
No, not even that. I think it's like what they're going for is like when Ryan looks at the girl, I think the thing isn't that like he has some connection to her. It's that the admiration that she is showing towards the winning players is something that he desires.
Yeah, he wants to be a real boy so he can like play football and stuff.
Yeah, he wants to be an athlete. He wants to have like the respect of his peers in the same way that those people in the stands respect the players. But I feel like the scene, especially considering most of us were thinking, like I don't think the scene properly conveys it in a good way.
So then his token black friend walks him home and yells at the bullies and makes a fuss, and then gets upset at Ryan for following along with what he starts.
Man, Brad is a good bully villain. Like this group of bullies was the most coherent, and like they had a plan and they had an arc.
Yeah.
There was such depth to these bullies.
Yeah. They were far more people than any bully we've seen up till now.
Homicidal 60s bullies.
Yeah, and like this guy, like initially, like I was like, when he was like, yeah, no, that was a good call. Like I was like, wait, he's actually giving credit? Like what? maybe this guy isn't just going to be like a homicidal 60s bully. Like what I expected to happen, weirdly enough, was when they showed up at the meeting spot, which we're going to talk about in a second, is like for them to just basically like ambush them and like beat them to a pulp. Because I'm so used to like the crazy fucking hunt you down bullies of the previous movies we've been watching, that are basically kill squads. But yeah, like I actually really enjoyed that where he was like, yeah, like after a second he was like, yeah, like good call on that, and hey, you want to come hang out?
Yeah, he was genuinely inviting them to be part of the group.
Yeah.
Do you think he is? Do you think he is like, hey, hang with me?
Yeah, like in order to get into this group, I was hazed, and now I'm part of it, and it's great. I want you to be part of it. Like, he mostly positively eggs Ryan on in the scene later, in a hazing manner, but we'll get to that, because first we go back to Lady Business Dad, and her first mention of what she does, which is go in and out of doors, which very much confused me.
Yeah, but then we find out that means that she sells houses.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, so Lady Business Dad sucks at making dinner. Ryan wants to know where his dad is, who we've never seen, so as far as we know, his dad is an illusion.
Created by Komodo.
In my AU, Komodo is his father.
That's what I was thinking too.
And they're all wolves.
God fucking damn it.
So
all 5 of the kangaroos are actually his father.
So oh man, that's way better than what I said. He goes back to Ming's, and Ming gives him a magic book.
Well, after there was that sequence though where like the waiter starts yelling at him.
Well, because he's a kid wandering around a busy kitchen. Like, fuck off, kid.
He's standing in the middle of the room.
Yeah, but you would think, like, if he's there enough that he's on, like, good terms with the owner, like, the waiter is going to be like, hey, kid, like, like, go that way. Not just, like, stand there for, like, a minute yelling at him.
Business Dad gave him $20. He should have gotten a table like a normal person.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just say within the logic of the movie.
Yeah, so he trips up a Chinese chef who does not speak English, to which Ming saves completely and the 4 dishes he was carrying, and then takes Ryan upstairs to show him a manuscript, which is not a book.
Yeah, but also he has, like, the whole, like, thing with the egg. Right?
It was the cocoon. The butterfly egg.
Sorry.
It was a moth.
I kind of was, like, I was kind of bored at that point in the movie. Like, I was like, when are we going to get to...
The battle for the universe had already begun. How could you be
No,
bored?
it hadn't. It hadn't begun. Stop telling me it began, because it didn't.
The tagline of the movie poster would disagree.
But yeah, no, I was kind of, but anyway, I was kind of bored with the movie at that point. So anyway, there was some metaphor using hatching, whatever.
Growing into your true self or something.
Yeah.
Well, no, he like got it. He found a cocoon when he was a little boy, and when the thing inside started to like rustle or whatever, he ripped it open and it flew away. But then it fucking died because he like interrupted its journey. So he kept the cocoon forever to remind him that he's a murderer.
That's why he lost his power.
And also, here's an ancient and powerfully and impossibly important book.
Oh, do you think this is a never-ending story situation where he, like, knows, like, that this is a magic book where he's going to be sucked into a thing?
Yeah, like, parts of this movie, I just kind of was like, get to the saving of the universe, please.
Never really get there.
Yeah.
What? We totally do.
The universe was only in threat because of everything Ryan had done up until that point.
All right, maybe.
But I think he knew, like, because he said it will help you, blah blah blah, like grow into your true self. So like I feel like he got his kung fu powers because he was chilling there for a bit. because they talk about outsiders coming in. So I'm assuming this guy was there before the start of the movie, had his fun, dipped, and yeah.
Okay, I've always interpreted this as like this is all a thing that happens in Ryan's mind, and Ryan made up all this shit.
Well, so Ming tells Ryan about Tao, which is spelled Tao, so obviously it's pronounced Tao, as everyone does in the movie.
Yep, the 90s.
Yeah, and Ryan's just like, that's dumb, and leaves, and then goes to a what is that, an abandoned water tunnel or whatever.
Yeah.
And meets up with bullies. To which what's his friend's name?
Chuck.
Chuck. Really?
Yes, okay. Chuck. The bully calls him Up Chuck.
Oh, good. That's very good.
He's a good bully.
They lead them into a dark tunnel, but they give them flashlights. To which Chuck suggests that the bullies are going to eat their penises.
Yes, and their balls.
Yes. Like a hot dog and meatball.
Yeah.
The classic combination.
Fine foods.
Don't judge my diet.
They send Ryan down a ladder and across like a hard metal bridge, and he seems to have no issue with this, despite the fact that his leg does not work. And then we get to the ritualistic hazing spot of the bullies of Poseidon.
Yeah, so this is where like where I actually like the bullies in this movie, because yeah, so the main guy Brad or whatever, you know, like he goes across, and like we were talking about earlier, it's like as much as he's like insulting Ryan, at the same time it's like that hazy, like it, like in a hazing where it's like, come on coward, like go faster, but at the same time he's like, you can do it. Like it's this mix of negative and positive comments.
Yeah, like I think Brad is genuinely trying to be helpful.
Yeah, here. Yeah. Like that was the feeling that I got, was like, yeah. Brad was like, hey man, like yeah, come mark your name on the wall, and you're part of the group. Congrats.
This is a multi-generational bully group, and this is just how it's been for generations.
Yeah, exactly. Poseidon demands sacrifice.
So there is a like cistern or something, and there is a water output. There's like a giant pipe suspended above them, and a endless vortex of water below them.
Yeah,
and there's like
nothing feeding it.
There is no, but it just swirls forever, and like you can't see the end. There's a narrow pipe that you can walk across, and there's graffiti all over the other side. So their ritual is that you have to cross and like sign your name, and then you can be part of the group.
Yeah, and like, okay, well, one, that pipe is way too narrow. Like, I really think that way more people would have fallen than just Ryan.
No, they're all football players.
No, like I mean, there's probably been a lot of sacrifices to Poseidon. The town knows it and doesn't say anything.
Our water shall be purified with your blood. Yeah, so like, yeah, Brad goes across, and they're like, go and do it, and like a couple of people are like, hey Brad, that's kind of like a dick move, like his leg is fucked, like leave him alone.
Yeah, I actually feel like she was the true bully, because I imagine if he actually backed down, she would have just been like, man, you're such a loser, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting out of her. Whereas Brad was just so supportive.
Yeah, Brad was like pretty down.
Brad was an equal mix of supportive and a bully.
Yeah, like he's like aggressive. Yeah, I've met people like him before. It's interesting.
Oh yeah, he's a real person, unlike the roving squads of murder bullies.
I really identified Brad as a kid with Terry, who was my bully at elementary school. If you're out there, Terry, fuck you.
And if he's not out there, you won.
Yes. Now I have his power.
But yeah, no, but yeah, there was a guy I had on and off fights with, I think, in grade, like, in early elementary school, but who was very similar in that regard. But yeah, so, like, this whole thing, and then he goes to cross, and his friend is like, yo, man, like, let's back out, like, this is dumb, let's leave.
Let's get like Tom and cruise out of here.
Oh, that line.
Ugh.
So he begins to cross, and it's going okay, and then Brad chooses this time to mention, by the way, that pipe up there, sometimes it just shoots water. Don't know when.
Yeah.
And then Poseidon demands his sacrifice.
And yeah, so the water comes out when he's in the middle of it. And what made me think, like, yeah, Brad was actually, like, or maybe this is just freaking out because he'll have actual consequences. But, like, when Ryan, like, falls, like, he does look pretty upset about Ryan falling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was very shocked and very worried.
Yes. Whether that is, like, genuine concern or an oh shit, like, I might get in trouble for this. But then again...
You get the sense that this has never happened before, and that, like, that is a threat that he makes, but he doesn't...
Yeah.
Like, you, especially at the end, you get the sense that he hasn't seen this happen before.
Yes. So yeah, then Ryan falls into the water and gets transported to Tau.
Yes,
To Narnia.
where he wakes up. Yes, the Lion, the Witch, and the Shit Bowl.
I was just, it's kind of an off-brand Dagobah. It's kind of a swamp
Yeah.
place. Like, it's a beautiful, magical land where everything's this fucking swamp.
Well, that's Komodo's fault. He took all of the life streams.
But not in that area.
No, he took that
till the
area.
end.
Well, there's only one life stream left, and that's why the village looks not quite as shitty.
Excuse me, it's a life spring.
Sorry, spring.
Lifestream is Final Fantasy.
Pay attention to the deep lore of this movie, Jimmy.
So he wakes up in Dagobah, and the first thing he does is check that he is dry.
And indeed he is.
Then he checks for where people are, and there aren't any. Then he takes a pike to the backpack.
And no, he has one of the best lines in the movie delivered to him. Hey, you! Just...
Pike throw.
By kind of an evil fashion minion of the first of many we will see. In radical black and gold.
That line delivery.
His
Hey, you.
his backpack completely saves him from any harm, presumably thanks to the manuscript of Tau.
Which he loses immediately.
Somehow, because he is then saved by a blur of 90s practical effects makeup.
Yun, who we like don't know is that person yet.
Yep. He then runs away from the soldiers that are trying to murder him, then realizing that he's capable of running and his leg is no longer broken, as he claims it was previously. He then begins to play football with himself immediately after almost being murdered.
Yeah, that was a weird, shortly after almost being murdered.
And then gets jumped again and almost murdered.
By one of my favorite characters, Mudlap.
When your parents set you up for failure with your name.
I feel like he chose Mudlap.
He didn't choose Mudlap, the Mudlap chose him.
Then he gets rescued
gets saved again.
By the woman, which then brings us to the introduction of the best character and the main character of the movie,
Komodo. Yeah, he's just everything.
He's so perfect.
Let's go down the list. Fashion, on point. Nails, on point. Lipstick, killing it.
Magic,
On it.
various kinds.
Crazy, insane monologues
Yeah.
that are rambling and terrifying.
weirdly, like, comfortable looking beds.
Yeah. Great chair that he moves with his own magic.
That chair!
It's so good.
So
But before meeting him, we see our original Pike attacker carrying the backpack, and we meet General Bald, not to be confused with the Bald twins,
and the army of bald soldiers.
Who tells him that Komodo's not going to be happy that things occurred, basically.
Also, Komodo's hair, on point.
Oh yes.
Thank you.
I assume that is why he demands the uniform of baldness in his troops, is so that he is the only one with fabulous hair. No others may challenge him. The backpack is presented. The soldier is sent into the maw of a death pit.
The Shadow Realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As full of knives as it is in the original Japanese version of Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, and then the backpack is torn apart. What's the woman's name?
Barbarocious?
Barbarocious is seen licking some object, and the Bald twins are playing with other items, and General Bald finds the manuscript of Tao.
Not a book.
Not a book.
Yeah, and then the guy was sent to his death and grabs the book, but only the kid can read it, and it's like, bring him to me alive, and so begins the on the bad guy's side, the hunt for Ryan.
And so we see the hobbits travel into the village thanks to the kind elf lady.
Yeah.
Upon their small boat. Is the village named?
The Life Spring.
The
last
Life
Life
Spring.
Spring.
I will say, before we move on, I think like most of the scenes taking place in like the villain's stronghold were pretty like decently shot and coherent in camera angle and motions they wanted to convey. And
yeah, I think that those and the fight scenes, I think they're actually like, I love the fights in this movie.
I've seen fights with worse choreography. I'll just say that.
And I think that it would be very easy to this be a movie where they tried to make puppets that you could fight in, and that failed. But like making them kangaroos, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself, but like that's a cool, like you see the work there of like, we'll give them tails and they can like kung fu with their tails and shit like that.
Yeah, they do take like the action scenes take advantage. Like it's pretty decently choreographed. Like it's not like I said, I've seen worse action choreography in like big budget action movies than I have in this movie.
So we reached the village of people plus the occasional minotaur and rhino minotaur and I guess some kangaroo people.
Excuse me. You were talking about Willie Beast and Mosley.
I don't believe you.
So kind of like the middle point of this movie dealing with like the village and stuff was really boring.
Yeah. Anything without Komodo in it was pretty subpar.
True.
Yeah, Komodo or like not an action scene was just. Yeah, it was like I just found myself like.
You didn't like this toy commercial, this 20-minute toy commercial that's in the middle of this movie?
Yeah, I just found myself checking out mentally at the middle of this movie with all the stuff because I was just like, get to the saving of the universe now, please.
Master Chung wants the book from Ryan. Ryan's like, show me the Warriors of Virtue. He does. He's only got 4 of them because one of them left. They are kung fu kangaroos with the power of the 5 elements: water, earth, fire, metal, and wood. And they all have neat personalities and a cool weapon and like abilities and stuff.
Vaguely.
Yeah, vaguely. One of them, Shun, who is Earth, is the girl. Like
Yes.
that is the whole character.
And she has the worst looking face because there's not as much of a muzzle as everyone else because I think they wanted to make her look more feminine.
Why
And it
did they
does
do
not
that?
translate well.
They tried to make her look like more human, which just made it worse.
So much worse.
So
I
much
love
worse.
it.
Ryan doesn't have the book. He's like, but one of you saved me. One of you has the book. And they're like, what? There's only 4 of us here. Who could this 5th one have been?
I wonder.
We get to learn a little bit more about the woman who saved him in that she asked, how are your parents?
Oh my god, I love that.
And then he's just like, they're pretty nice.
Yeah, they're fine.
Her response is, I never got to meet my parents.
So that was basically like if you went on a blind date with a D&D character. Like, how are your parents? They're all right. They are business people. What about your parents? Oh, they were tragically killed, and then my brother later, and my life is misery in Magic Land here. Tell me about football.
Just the fact that she brought up parents, like she had to know that was coming. So we learned a little bit about her, kind of, and then we see her and Ryan hang out, and then Ryan gets kidnapped, but then saved yet again by water.
Yin.
I do not care.
Yeah, and what was it? And she and she mentions that her brother is dead.
Yeah.
And
Ryan reminds her of him.
yes, yeah, you remind me of my dead brother.
As he gets grabbed by Barbarossa.
Barbarocious.
Barbalicious.
I like that one.
That one is very good. One thing I did want to say about the kangaroos, they're roos, we're told multiple times. They
They are called kangaroos like once.
I still vote for Worry-roos.
Worry-roos. They're voiced by just a smattering of voice actors who worked a lot in the mid to late 90s. So all of them worked on Beast Wars.
Nice. So yeah, Yun, or whatever you said, saves Ryan
Water.
for a second time. Yes. Water saves Ryan with the power of Yun. And he's just like, you have the manuscript, right? He's like, no. He's like, well, then they must have it. He's like, that's too bad. I don't fight anymore. And Ryan's just like, that's dumb. And Yun agrees and takes him back to the village.
It was actually, it was great how easy he convinced him. It's like, he's like, you're a coward. Like, he says like some like 90s slang. I can't remember what exactly he said.
Wimp.
Yeah, but there's some other stuff too he said. And then like,
Stupid horse.
yeah, then like 20 seconds later he's like, you know what? You're right.
I spent a lot of this movie thinking like how much Ryan would like beat up both Kid Robin Williams and what's real life guy from Neverending Story called? I've forgotten his name already. Oh, Sebastian.
Yeah, oh yeah, like Ryan would definitely have bullied them.
Like those were wimps. Ryan is feisty.
But yeah, so we return to the village. We have a scene of the Roos reuniting, and it's maybe has an emotion. And then
there's a sweet handshake going on.
that's later, I think.
Love that handshake.
Is that now? Uncertain.
I can't remember.
It doesn't really matter. All the village stuff blurs together. Ryan teaches the silent metal how to do a handshake, and he never manages to escape it.
Roll credits.
I think we go back to Komodo. Either way, I want to go back to
Yeah,
Komodo.
thank God.
Yeah, yes.
I don't even know what happens. We get more scenes of him doing Komodo things. Oh, he's lying in he's lying in his bed, and he's just like, why isn't the boy here?
Oh, you know what happens? It was because when the general and Water fight, Water's like, "In your hurt, we were like friends once, blah 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 blah, and have a conscience, man." And beats him up, and then he returns to Komodo and goes, "I got my ass beat by these people, and so I don't have the kid."
Yeah, the five warriors are back together, and to which Komodo asks the most important question: "How do I look in purple?"
I adore this
I think that was a compelling villain thing though, because he's got like crazy, inane minions, and he kind of like acts like an insane person when they're there, and then he sends them out, and then he has this moment with General Grillo where he's like actually telling him his plan, and then he asks him if he looks good.
Yeah,
Which, like, I like their relationship. That's nice.
Yeah, no, I like the general, and I like and how he interacted with most people in that movie. He was kind of interesting.
So how does Alicia get captured?
who?
The
She
girl.
doesn't.
The girl? No, I'm pretty sure she goes.
Oh, she doesn't. So
She's a defector.
she
A
she
traitor, a
goes
heathen.
she goes to bring some food to the warriors and Ryan. This is when we get our handshake scene. Now I remember.
Yes.
They mention that they're gonna have to steal the book. Sorry, not a book, it's a manuscript. And then she backs away silently with the tray of food. And then we later, I think, see her sleeping, or maybe it's an empty bed. And then we're back at Komodo's place, and
She's gone full evil.
Curled her hair and everything.
New outfit, new makeup, looking good, hanging out with Komodo. What could be better?
so she was there. She needed her medicine, whatever exactly that meant.
Oh, what is it called? I cannot remember. Zetherium, Ethereum.
Yeah, it's Ethereum, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, was he feeding her life stream?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And to keep her young? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Feel like somebody else should have noticed that at some point. I didn't really know what the medicine was about. Apparently it was that. They chase each other around the bed and almost kiss. And she mentions their plans. Three of the Roos plan to go take the book back. There's a bunch of intermediate scenes that I honestly don't remember.
They're not important.
So the Roos arrive at Komodo Castle, or whatever exactly it is. There's the book. It's just sitting there on a pedestal. But wait, it's an illusion. And then metal braces shoot out of the walls and grab all of the Roos, including the one who can maybe control metal.
I don't think he can control metal.
Those things were really accurate too. Like that is technology that I think is a little beyond the capacity of that civilization.
It's magic. He's a sorcerer. He's not a techno man.
Like, Komodo might have just been standing around the corner and controlled them with his magic, because we definitely see him do things like that.
Yeah,
so
okay,
who knows?
I could buy that.
Like the chair.
Oh, we're gonna have a whole section for that chair.
The best way to move around. So then he, just to make it more obvious that this isn't Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles but wants to be, mentions making kangaroo stew.
Yeah, and does like a full recipe. It was actually a lot of fun like that. I actually really liked that one.
Yeah, when that scene started, I'm just like, oh, he's just the shredder because he wants to make turtle soup. But no, he really made that his own. I'm going to make you into stew and feed you to the newcomer. Which, great villainous plan.
Yeah, diabolical.
To which we had previously gotten a scene where Mudlap,
Yep.
told Ryan that he could take him to the manuscript in exchange for his watch. He then got captured by the general, which was what Mudlap had also agreed to do. But then we have Master Chung.
I think it's Master Chung.
Yeah, we have him poke the general.
Yeah.
In one of his chakras, I guess.
He's the Yoda of the franchise. This is the thing. Ming says something about like with a touch you can like fuck up a dude.
Those words exactly.
That what Ming does in his personal life.
But yeah, then he goes like, yeah, no, I got messed up by the guy.
What was that move if you were gonna make it in like a role playing game? Because what he does is he like hits him in the chest. He hits him in the chest with a stick. He delivers a line to him, and then he flies away with the boy, and then the rest of the line is delivered to the dude psychically. And he is blown back into a tree like 5 seconds later.
He's a monk and also a psionic character.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So then the Ruse are sent into the maw of the trap we previously saw, to which it's revealed it's full of knives and also spinning blades at the bottom.
And fire.
It was very elaborate.
Yes.
Is there fire? I know
yes, at the very bottom, underneath the spinning blades, is fire.
Oh,
Yep.
right. That's how you make stew. That makes sense.
They narrowly escape, but Metal loses their ring, which I don't know why we care. I will say at this point that there was like a barrel latch that we had in our chicken coop because I grew up on a farm, and I used to like use that as the metal thing and like pretend I remember very clearly like playing as the metal kangaroo.
Nice. Yeah, so then a bunch of other stuff happens. I guess, does Ryan get captured again, or does the village get invaded?
Ryan is hanging out with Master Chung, and Master Chung's all like, Ryan, you gotta read the fucking book, Ryan, and like, it's in your heart, and don't worry, and Kung Fu wisdom. And then Komodo shows up, thank God.
Yes.
Master Chung and Komodo have a fight. Komodo cuts like a giant stone pillar in half and kills Master Chung.
By lightly grazing his face.
Also, fuck you, Ryan. Master Chung told you to run and you hung out, and that's why Master Chung died. You shit.
Well, it was like I said, it's like new kid ruins everything. Like, he brings in the key, like a powerful artifact, loses it right away, causes like the master to die. Like, it's like, god damn it, kid.
Yeah.
Kids in these 90s movies were just the worst.
Well, like, a lot of the kids in 90s movies are important to the plot, though. Ryan, very tangentially.
Yeah.
And then Komodo captures him.
Yeah, brings him back.
So I think at this point we get the city or the village attacked.
Yes. But we don't care about them.
Yeah, the village it's fine. That we see 2 kangaroos get a bit of fight in. And we see Pintel from Pirates of the Caribbean yell, what is it? Stupid ruse. Stupid ruse.
Yeah, well, and what was it?
And then he gets a flower thrown into his mouth.
Yeah, so then Ryan wakes up, and what's her name is there, the girl, and then she
Alicia has gone full evil.
Yeah, and she goes like, he killed my brother, and then he's like, no, you lie, and has the Empire Strikes Back moment.
Yeah, he being water, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but it again, this is like one of those things that doesn't really pay off in any significant way, because like it doesn't make Ryan really question anything regarding. I guess it delivers some plot relevant information that comes in handy later, but like
I feel like the reason that Ryan cannot read the book is because of the doubts he has, which is caused by this moment.
you see, if the movie was more coherent, I would say yes, but I don't think they're that clever.
So then Komodo tells him to read the book. He can't. It's completely blank. So he bestows upon him the words, what was it? Shit happens?
Shit happens. Good line.
He tells him to read the book and like throws him across the room, and the lady's just like, maybe don't kill him.
Yeah, and she does like some weird like move.
Oh yeah, I guess she also has magic. She like throws
She
a
uses
a
magic
scarf.
at the start to save him from Mudlap.
She throws a knife at Mudlap. That's not magic.
I think she like flies into or out of a thing too.
I mean, she
Yes, she
flies.
does fly.
She flies away with him. That is true. I forgot about that.
That's definitely not. That might just be what humans do in this world.
Yeah, as far as we know, that's just how people move around.
Wire foo.
So she throws a scarf and it wraps around his hand, and then she is immediately murdered by Barbalicious.
Yes.
And Komodo is unhappy with this because I guess she's the only person he wanted alive. So he murders Barbalicious, presumably, by throwing her against the wall with magic.
Oh, you know what's another funny scene that happened earlier in the movie was when Barbalicious tries to kidnap him and he like stuffs dirt in her mouth.
That hasn't happened yet, actually. That's
Really?
later in the movie.
Yeah, that's near the end.
Really? Wow, I must...
I guess it would have happened by this point because she's dead in this scene, I think.
Yeah, that was during the scene that Master Chung dies.
Yeah,
'Cause he
yeah.
does run away and then he comes
Yes,
back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, just stuffs dirt in her mouth. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah, so then we get Ryan runs off with the book, and all of the now imprisoned villagers are being walked into the main hall of the castle for some reason, and Ryan then instructs the Minotaur and the Rhino to play football with him, which I feel like was a cutscene earlier in the movie where he explained what football is and or even talked to these characters at all. They then proceed to be excellent linebackers or something. I don't know football.
Football boys.
And Ryan escapes, but not before giving Minotaur a high five.
That was actually a sick high five. Yes, and then this is like where I say like the football kind of theme, or I wouldn't say theme, motif maybe. I'm trying to remember my literary terms, and I'm coming up blank right now. Anyway,
It's a football thing. It pays off at the end. Good work, movie.
Yeah, like it does its bare minimum of story work.
Yeah, like I didn't really pay attention. I don't know if he like did the same thing that he told Brad to do earlier.
No.
I don't think so. It was more like him, like this was what he had always dreamed of, and the way the whole scene was set up was like a football field. So it was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the only chance you'll get to play football, kid. Oh,
So he
yeah.
escapes, and we get some. I think we have no, we don't really have too much scene without Komodo, thankfully. They have they have captured the final stream though, and so Komodo rides up in his chair. The warriors go to face him. They're like, Komodo, we're here to face you, and then Komodo delivers the line, warriors, is it warriors of virtue or just warriors?
No, just warriors come out and play.
Yeah, warriors come out and play, which they have already done.
Yeah.
They came to him. The line makes no sense, but it is delivered perfectly.
I like I was mentioning in the chat. I think like I have to check when. I think it was the movie Warriors. But if the movie Warriors was released before this movie, which I think it was,
Long before this movie.
Yeah. Then I think
I believe The Warriors was in the late 70s.
Was it late 70s? Okay, yeah, I haven't watched it. I just know of the one scene from it of like, warriors come out to play, warriors. So I think the movie was referencing that.
Oh yeah, there are many lines from other movies in this movie. How Komodo knows one is a different question, but
So Komodo, that's the thing we should talk about. That's why it's a battle for the universe. Komodo wants Ryan to send him back to Earth.
yeah.
Yeah.
That Tao is dying because of Komodo. Komodo has been eating all of the life energy, or Kung, in Tao, because there's no real word for for life energy in any Chinese language.
Nope.
So better go with Kung. So Komodo at one point asks the general, "Would you have me stay in a world I cannot survive in?" Which is quite the question.
Yeah.
Seems like the answer is always no.
Yeah. And like, he also, like, when he was talking to, like, Ryan earlier, he was like I'm like your dark future or something like that. Like, he makes some allusions to basically being like the fate of Ryan if he doesn't leave and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, he wants to go to Earth because maybe it has life streams.
Is that what the Endless Vortex Temple to Poseidon is?
A life spring?
Yeah.
Sure. So he then makes 5 of himself, which is more than 5 warriors of virtue can handle. Until Water decides that it isn't more than they can handle and uses his not lightsaber.
His crystal sword with a handle trigger on it.
we Final Fantasy now.
Shoots Komodo, and all of his other selves jump up into the air and disappear.
Yeah, and also, like, it's kind of weird because, like, so, like, Komodo's there and, like, Ryan shows up and Ryan goes like,
well, Ryan has to get advice from Master Chung, the Yoda of the franchise, when he's trying to read.
Ryan is hitting his head against this blank book over top of the grave of Master Chung at this point.
But, like, what I mean is he shows up, he goes like, I can't help you. Like, I am a failure. And then, like, the warriors go like, okay, I guess we'll just, like, fight and win, I guess.
Yeah.
And like Ryan is so inconsequential to this plot.
Yeah, no, very much so. He's just like, I can't read the book. They're like, well, guess we'll just solve this on our own.
And you see, like, if this movie was actually clever, like, this would be a chance to go back to, because, like, the football scene shows Ryan is a careful watcher and is smart.
But that is what happens. He is able to read the book. The book tells him that that when you use the elements together, then it's superpowers or whatever, and that if you take a life, you lose part of your power. So he realizes that Komodo has lost part of his power because he's killed a bunch of people now.
Technically, only Master Chung.
Oh, is Alicia still alive? And Barbalicious?
Alicia was killed by Barbalicious.
He killed Barbalicious, probably.
He also sent a bunch of people to their deaths. Like, I feel like dropping somebody into a pit is, like, you're just as culpable for...
Nah, that's not how the world of Tao works. Gravity actually loses its power when you kill people. It's why people can jump so high.
That's why all these dead bodies are floating around.
So then briefly Komodo is defeated and Master Chun's there and like, Ruse, why you so bad at listening? But it's actually Komodo, I think, and he does something to Water.
Chokes him,
that's it.
And then, like, Ryan baits him out, and then
Ryan shows up and tells them to use their super awesome team-up power, which they haven't used yet for some fucking reason.
And then they're like, oh yeah!
Use your cereal box collectibles. And then, to which Komodo throws a fireball at Ryan, but then gets exploded by the mighty morphing Power Ranger Ruse.
Yeah.
He was vaporized, not exploded.
Yes, sorry, yes.
He wasn't vaporized. He comes back.
He was like, you could see you saw a crack form in him, and he was being torn apart. It was a very slow explosion that became vaporization. But Ryan, the reason this succeeded was because Ryan almost died, which
Took a fireball to the face.
took away some of Komodo's power enough
Yeah.
that they could defeat him still. And by the way, he wasn't killed. He's just not evil anymore and doesn't remember things.
And his fashion is ruined. So like,
Oh yeah,
fuck this movie now.
He's worthless.
And you know, I found it kind of like suspect when he's like, "Hey, I want to go home," and they're like, "You are home." I'm like, this feels like taking advantage of somebody with amnesia. Like, let the guy go home. Like, you're kidnapping him.
So that all happens, and then Ryan's lying there dying, and then he continues to be dying.
And then Metal talks.
Oh yeah, Metal says, like,
Thank you.
thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. And everyone's like, whoa, he said words.
Do you guys remember that we said that he doesn't talk?
And it wasn't really worth it.
No.
And then Ryan starts glowing and it gets all fuzzy, and he's back in the real-ish world at the Temple of Poseidon.
Yeah, and then he goes, "You know what? Fuck peer pressure. I'm leaving. See you
And
guys."
then he goes and calls the police.
Yeah, I wrote that down. Ryan and Chuck are like, let's call 911. Like, you fuckers.
To be fair, I think the intention was that they were calling him to help Brad, who is
Yeah.
now stuck.
That was the feeling I got as well.
That is what we call narking. These are snitches who are about to get stitches.
They won't get stitches for another, like, 5-10 years. And then we go back to outside of house, where we see Lady Business Dad return. She tells the dog to be quiet as she goes into Ryan's room, tucks him in. He wakes up, says some positive words.
Reveals what her job is.
Yeah, she reveals what her job is. He says he had a virtuous day. The mother is not remotely confused by that sentence. Is that it?
No, and
Yeah,
then he
that's
tells
pretty
the
much
dog nanny about his magical land.
Oh, no. So he looks at his window to find the cocoon from Ming's place just sitting there, because Ming definitely broke into his room with a message inside the lid for whatever reason, telling him to do positiveness
Spread
in
his
virtue.
wings.
That's it. Spread your wings. Be your true self. Virtue it up. And then he tells Dog Nanny all about his fever dream.
Yeah, so... God, that movie just was so fucking crazy and incoherent in parts, and narratively a disaster, I think.
That movie is everything I love about, like, 90s fantasy movies.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, it's so 90s fantasy. Just, oh, it's so good in that sense.
It needed so much more Komodo, though.
Yeah, like Komodo carried,
Just
like,
cut out every scene other than the Komodo scenes.
Yeah, it definitely needed something. Like, Komodo is fun, and we definitely reacted to him, but a lot of the rest of it seems like built by a committee to sell toys and shit.
yeah. Product placement. Have a delicious can of Pepsi.
Yeah, that was like, what a garbage dinner. Like, thanks, Lady Business Dad. You're gonna give him Pepsi and burnt cheese? What was she serving him?
Microwave lasagna.
Oh.
Yeah, so that happens. Well, that was the thing. So, like, the slang and, like, the insults and, when was Terminator 2 released?
1991.
Yeah, this is
6 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, a lot of it is like, that's so cool, or like football, and everybody being like, what's that? Like, kind of felt Terminator-ish to me.
There's a lot of like dumb lines that Ryan Houston, we have a problem when he goes to the village for the first time.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that is because that movie was only a couple years old at that point, so it was a relevant reference. That is, I can now reveal the only trivia that's on IMDb about the movie. It is that Ryan quotes 2 movies that were released. Yes, so Houston, We Have a Problem from Apollo 13 in 1995, and Shit Happens from Forrest Gump in 1994, both of which starred Tom Hanks.
Ryan, big Tom Hanks fan.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of like so a lot of like the '90s slang dialogue. Like I wouldn't even call it '90s slang because it feels like movie slang. Like it feels like hello, fellow kids, um, material, to me. It was really just like, ugh.
Well, it's stylized. The movie has to be stylized, but Back to the Future was that too. You know, it hit it in the right way where this movie kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that I think this movie of the kid has a problem, goes to fantasy world, comes back to real world movies that we've seen. This one
Which
has
is all of them.
This one has the most coherent, besides Back to the Future, the most coherent real world plot and the worst fantasy world plot.
Yeah, I agree because it was really opposite. Because like in this one, we can see the because you guys know my huge criticism with Neverending Story was obviously like nothing changes about him. Whereas in this one, it's like yeah, no, there is the real world plot was actually kind of more interesting than the fantasy plot. Uh, where it's like because like the bullies were obviously much better represented and yeah, like when he comes back, he goes like, yeah, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna do this. Let's go, man, and just dips.
Let's go narc.
The movie never touches on it. I just realized. Is he still? Does he still have his injured leg?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It just kind of like doesn't bother mentioning whether that's happened.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like a lot of the dialogue I thought was like super suspect.
The costumes, though. The costumes are amazing.
Oh, I love them.
Some are
Especially
better than others,
Komodos.
I think. Yeah, like Komodo. Goddamn, they nailed like that costume is perfection. Like that guy always looks good. The set design for his castle.
Well, I think Komodo and everything about Komodo, even like his minions and like the outfits that they have, and like they nailed like, oh, okay, this is a creepy evil empire, a fashion empire.
Yeah, no, like it is his empire, the scenes within his empire, his castle, like I really enjoyed all of those. Like that was actually like those were the scenes that woke me up, basically. Whereas like the village was too samey. Like it was just swamp and savages living in the swamp. Yeah, so but yeah, so like yeah, like the village so like the village set design I thought was super generic, off-brand Dagobah.
Dagobah.
Dagobah?
Yeah. Dagobah.
Dagobah. Like, it was like an off-brand, like, swamp and just kind of generic and it's like, whatever. There's nothing special about it. Whereas, like, even though Komodo was... I mean, you could argue that he's just typical evil empire. Visually, it was still more interesting on the eyes than...
Okay, so I want to do a thing because now we're talking about like the set design and the practical effects and stuff.
I just have one thing first.
Yeah.
Before we go. The general asks Komodo if this book can stop you, why not destroy it? To which he says, it can't be destroyed. He destroys it at the end of the movie.
He rips it apart. Oh no, he blows it up.
Yeah, he blows it up. Distinctly can be destroyed. Also, once Ryan is able to read the book, everyone can, because one of the warriors picks up a page and starts reading it. Not very coherent. But anyways.
Okay, so the budget for this movie was $35 million. I want to know what your guys' guesses are for what it made.
The kangaroo masks.
No.
No,
What
profits.
the movie made.
Oh.
How much money the movie made.
Like 10 million?
Okay, Tepper guesses 10 million.
700,000.
John guesses 700,000.
I was gonna guess less than that. I was gonna guess like 400,000.
Okay. So the box office for this movie is $6.5 million.
Yeah.
And it cost 35.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Worth every penny.
As long as 30 million if it went to Komodo, both actor and everything that happened in the movie.
The other 5 went to Komodo's wardrobe.
Yeah. So kind of speaking about like set costume design and stuff like that, but also like kind of transitioning into the fight stuff as well is they did some interesting stuff I think with like visually with the fire kangaroos like stuff, like a lot of like neat sparks, and he has like some weird like traps and stuff he can put up to like block attacks. Like there's some kind of interesting things in that regard. And like the fights, we spoke about it a little bit earlier, but the fight choreography was like all right. Like, you know, it's not gonna like win any awards, but it wasn't. I've seen worse. And I thought it was like, because we were talking about the costumes as well with like kangaroos, is like they include the tails actually a fair bit as a feature in like a bunch of the fights. Like there was one of the fights between Komodo's shadow self and one of the Roos has him like grabbing the tail and grappling the Roo that way while they're fighting. So like it was kind of cool that they took advantage of that aspect of it, and like yeah, like a bunch of the fights were pretty solid, and it was wire fu, and kind of fun to watch, especially like when they're like kicking people like 10-20 feet into like branches and trees and shit. I don't know, what did you guys think about the fight scenes?
I really like the Master Chung Komodo fight scene. That's probably my favorite one in the movie. I think that one's really cool. I don't know, that was like definitely I loved Kung Fu and karate. Like any movie that had the word ninja or Kung Fu or karate in it, I was on it when I was a kid. And yeah, I remember the fights being really, really cool in this movie. It's kind of weird watching this again as an adult and getting all the like the references.
The soundtrack. There was the one section where I thought that like the music in a couple parts was okay. Mostly it didn't get in the way, and it didn't distract from the movie. And there was one good song.
Yeah, you guys were mentioning in the chat like the going to the castle to steal the book had quite the musical score to it.
Yeah, and I think that's also when Chung confronted the general too.
Is there a prop from the movie that anyone would want?
All of Komodo's wardrobe.
Yeah.
The chair.
His chair.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the bed.
We just want Komodo's stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, everyone's favorite character is Komodo.
Yeah. Does anyone which Roo do you think you are? They don't really get enough characterization though.
I
No.
was gonna say they might as well be cardboard cutouts.
That's such a Yun thing to say.
Yeah. Anyone? Let's rate it. I guess. Let's go down the list.
I give it 5 inextricably elementally aligned inextricably kangaroos.
Out of what?
5.
Oh.
I give it all of Komodo's wardrobe out of 5.
I'll give it 5 Komodos out of 5.
Yeah. I'll give it three bald men out of Barbalicious.
Just like my fic.
Where they're all wolves.
Yep.
God damn it.
All right. Yeah, and with that, I've been your host, Ivan. You can find me doing this podcast and a couple other things on downloadablezebras.com.
I'm Chris. You can also find me on downloadablezebras.com.
I'm Connor, and you can find me on downloadablezebras.com. I do like Marlowe's stuff mostly.
And on Tepper, you can also find me on downloadablezebras.com.
And a special thanks to 8-Bit Jazz for the use of our theme song. You can find it on YouTube or follow the link in the description.